So the first important rule is if it has no value to the reader, don't send it. It is so easy to think. There's that meme that goes around like corporate things. It says this meeting didn't need to be a meeting; it could have been an email. Sometimes things didn't need to be an email. It's one of those very, very true statements. You really need to be, and one that requires you to be very honest with yourself. Sometimes you need to look at email and go, yeah, no, no, this doesn't need to go. This will annoy my audience. This will actually be a detriment, or this will just waste the time. Particularly when I said they have come on as a good signal, to then burn that goodwill by annoying them with pointless junk isn't great. If it's part of your systems where they're expecting like onboarding stuff or an ebook they're expecting to receive, that's one thing. If it's not part of a system of what they're receiving, it can be like for your ebooks, for example. I presume Simplify, when they're signing up to an email to get the ebook, it's the after the stuff. It's like, well, they've got the ebook. Do they want to hear about the latest article I've got? Do they want to hear about the? I'm sure the articles are great, but there may be stuff you're promoting that just may not necessarily be of value. And because of that, the second rule is sometimes it's better to send one email a week than one email a day. I know previously in the last live stream, I hope you've checked that out, I did talk about getting into a routine with your audience in terms of social media. But the difference is that social media is so much noise, you kind of want to be persistent to make sure. With email, there is kind of that step into someone's personal space. It is an email inbox. It's not like you're going into their living room to shout at them about your latest article. But still, you want to have that reticent, that caution. It's better to be conservative than too liberal. This, of course, assumes that you maybe aren't sure about the value of content. If, for example, you're putting out a new ebook every day, or you're putting up really good content every day of the week, yeah, have that daily roundup email saying, here's something new, and it's all of value. Great. If you're kind of that mindset, it's like, I've had 4 articles go out this week. Do I send 4 separate emails, or do I group them into one? Now, with a segregation of emails, you can more target. Yeah, that's the thing. But as a general rule for wider networks, you probably want to be more conservative, because it's better not to burn that audience in any goodwill. Plus, there's the added benefit of, say for an email with you're promoting 4 different articles in like a block standard, you get to see what your audience is more keen on. Based on that, you present them with a choice of 4, and where do they go? If they go to all 4, well done. The ebooks will explain what to expect for time to expand them. I keep them. Promo, yeah, you go. Let's get Simplify knows what he's doing, and that is for absolute certainty. Next time I'll just get him to host. Now, one of the most important rules: size does matter. Depending on what kind of emails you're sending, you want to tailor the size of them. Some emails they will fill the third of a page. It will be just right there. Think of how your inbox is set up. If you were to log on right now, the email takes about this much. Sometimes that's the email. But other emails will go the length of an arm. If it's a quick email, if it's an article that's going live, or like just don't go too heavy on it. Keep it nice and short if it needs to be short. If it requires something where you need to go into a bit more information to really kind of go, I need to convince you of this, then the details are there. But you have to tie it into that value statement. Are you getting a lot of value of an email that is, if they have to scroll a lot through the email, are you going to get the same value if it was just short to the point with a call to action? There is a balancing act to this, and we will talk about this later.
I have a question, Chris, if that's
Go
okay.
for it. Absolutely.
So with the length situation of an email, is there, and it may not be, and it may vary by niche, I suppose, but is there an optimal length for engagement within an email?
There's a few different schools of thought, admittedly. I personally always subscribe to, and I do this in my social planning as well, that you generally want to have the call to actions very quickly, or the sooner. If you've got their attention, you want to be able to capitalize quicker. If you have a long email, because of the way emails are structured, they're generally HTML blocks. To get those call to actions in a way that looks good is tricky. You don't have the same options that a website would have or a web page would have. So you need to play very cleverly with size. If it's a particularly long email, you're going to want to have a lot of links interspersed without. But it does depend on the niche. Sometimes it's new article, brief introduction, button, go. Other times it's a bit more of a conversation. Here's why we're talking about this. Here's a bit more of a sell. It depends what you're working in. Some niches, like if it's a new recipe, there's very little you're going to
Yeah.
go into. If it's more, I want to say, your health, your life kind of thing, your finance, that sort of stuff, maybe a bit more
Where am I
detail.
now?
Yeah. I always forget
Yeah.
the acronym for that. I know there's an acronym, but it's like
It's burnt into my skull.
it's like I'm glad it hasn't yet, but I look forward to that day.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of stuff. It
Cool.
does depend what you're doing. You'll
Yeah.
know your audience as well. There is that kind of learning you go through. It's like, okay, they respond well to this, or they do click on this quite regularly, and this is useful.